Sheikh, we hear stories about couples who don't survive the first year of marriage and they divorce within a year, or maybe 2 years. Like it's a short amount of time. You know, it seems like they can't get past certain challenges or obstacles. And and I remember one of my friends telling me, within his circle of friends, of all of them that got married, only one or two survived the first year and a half. So, can you tell us, like, why does this happen? Why do marriages break down? And for young people, young couples, like, what are things you can do in advance to look out for
Like
before
preventative measures.
Yeah, or in the early stages of the marriage, what can you do? Some strategies to help avoid the breakdown.
It is actually a reality because, according to the statistics, the highest rate of divorce does happen within the first year of marriage. And there's a study of, as to like why that happens. In Canada, for instance, 50% of the marriages, they say it's a very high rate, end up in divorce within the first year of marriage. It's scary. It is very scary. In the UK, it's very high. It's ridiculously high amongst the Muslims as well. There's a book I read not long time ago, when I was in 2007. I read this book called Why Men Don't Listen and Why Women Cannot Read Maps. It's an interesting book, but it doesn't talk about why men don't listen. It talks about the psychology of the two brains, the differences between men and women, how men think versus how women think. When a woman says, "I'm fine," does that mean she's fine? When she comes to ask for which hijab should I wear, the pink one or the blue one, she already knows what hijab she wants to wear. She's just, the husband, he thinks differently. The husband, because we think the way we men think, why don't they wear the black one? She does not want that answer, versus which one do you think you want to wear? She would say, I'm thinking the pink one. The man says, I was thinking the pink one too. Versus telling her what,
Hints. This one or this one?
or this one, exactly. So the differences between the psychology, women, they think things through. They can multitask. They can do a lot of things at once. Versus men who don't, because Allah Azza wa Jal created us differently. We don't. You don't. How would you feel if I say, yes, come with me to the washroom? Let's just walk together to the washroom. I'm sorry, man. Are you serious? But for the sisters, with another sister, it's totally normal to go together to the washroom, right? Because they don't go to the washroom to the thing. They go to the washroom to talk. It's like a lounge, But for us men, we don't do those things. We think differently. We are like 1, 2, 3. We when we deliver, we feel like we've done things because this is how we think we men. When I put the food on the table, I see things that are materialistic things, tangible results. They are more emotional. They use the heart, the feelings more than us. So there's a lot of differences. It's not like men are better than women or women are better than men. We're just different. Allah has made us like this. So how can we understand our differences? You find two guys fishing, not talking for 2 hours. They have no issues. They're just fishing and having fun. Two sisters can't do that. If they see these two men fishing for 2 or 3 hours without talking, they say definitely they've got an issue. But for them, they'll be talking, walking, or they'll be like driving, and all of them are talking at the same time. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. She say MashaAllah, tabarakallah. They all talk at the same time, and they all hear and listen to one another. We don't do that. We're different. So again, understanding these differences, it's a core. It's a very, very important. Number 2, patience. Patience is a golden rule because, Akhi, imagine a sister that comes to you. She comes and says, I want divorce. Why, sister, you want divorce? My husband snores. Okay, so what's wrong with that? He snores. Okay, sister, so you want to divorce him because he snores? Yes. I can't take that. I'm not used to, I can't take that. Well, okay, show some patience. Maybe in the beginning, maybe try the different room, put some ear thingies, try whatever, patience. Maybe at some point you will get used to his snoring and then things will move on. I'm just giving you an example, Patience is a key, really, within especially the first year of marriage. getting to know one another. And this is why I always say, some people may disagree, it's up to them, but I just say try not to have children within that first year of marriage, because it is that first year where the couple would want to know one another. So it is it's primordial, like Umar ibn Khattab, when a man came to him and told him, yeah, I know that person. Umar asked him 3 questions. He says, have you traveled with him? Have you lived with him? Have you done business with him? No, then you don't know him. Have you traveled? Have you lived? And have you done business with him? All this couple have done before marriage is talk on the phone. Yes, they may have asked for references and whatnot, but they don't know the guts of one another until they move in with each other.
So how do you pre-screen for those types of things? Let's say, like some things I've heard. One guy told me that his wife was lazy and didn't pray Fajr, and that was a big, for him that was a big thing.
Well, of course, then I have to have certain principles in life, right? Because I went to get married. and I have a prospect, right? I have this prospect, and this prospect, I must have asked some questions, unless it's prearranged. If it's prearranged, don't blame me, don't blame her, because it was all prearranged. I did not know. We never spoke, right? Allahu A'lam. I don't know. Just to answer your question, I don't know what happened, but it could be that the guy maybe did not ask the proper questions. Akhi, I have certain principles like hijab. It's a must. Like salah. Principles. I'm not gonna talk like food. I need food to survive. I cannot survive without food. So salah. These are like no negotiations. And there are the things that we can negotiate. Right. The guy, maybe he didn't ask about these things. He just looked at the wife or the prospect and whatnot. He assumed, or he moved on, or la akhi. There are certain things that there's a book called 1,000 Questions to Ask Before Marriage. Well, you know what? You need to ask the proper questions before getting married, And she has to ask also the proper questions, very intelligent questions, not like yes/no questions, open-ended questions, the iman, the deen, the questions about salah. It's not even a good question to ask a prospect, do you pray? I don't think it's a good question. I personally don't think it's a good question. A better question for him is like, when was the last time you prayed Fajr on time in the mosque? I just slapped him right there. I don't ask him about salah, I ask him about the most important salah. I ask him about Fajr. If this guy wakes up, I'm not saying that if he prays Fajr on time, that means that mashallah is an angel. La, I can move on from that. I can move to another question and so on. But if the first question says, oh, alhamdulillah, I'm the bird of the mosque. Well, that's a good thing. That's a good sign. I think the guys, he has a relationship with the masjid. He prays Fajr. MashaAllah, the brother who prays Fajr in the masjid is not a brother. Is not like a guy who it's his iman that wakes him up to go for Fajr and prays in Fajr. So that's a good sign. And then I can move on to other things. And same thing applies for the brother asking the right questions from the sisters.